1984 by George Orwell shows a dystopian world and shows us the life of the main character, Winston Smith, who attempts to break through the matrix he is set in. Orwell based his novel off of propaganda countries used in World War II. 1984 warns us about the strict government control and the dangers of totalitarian government. Orwell also warns us about his prediction of the future. One of the issues that Orwell manifests is surveillance. Orwell sets the book in a state called Oceania, where there is constant surveillance. He shows the state of surveillance and censorship by saying, "There was always the danger of concealed microphones by which your voice might be picked up and recognized." Orwell 148. Perhaps at the other end of the instrument, some small, beetle-like man was listening intently, listening to that. Orwell 156. Whichever way you turned, the telescreen faced you. Orwell 138. Ministry of Truth, whose primary job was not to reconstruct the past, but to supply the citizens of Oceania with newspapers, films, textbooks, telescreens, plays, novels, with every conceivable kind of information, instruction, or entertainment, from a statue to a slogan, from a lyric poem to a biological treatise, and from a child's spelling book to a Newspeak dictionary. Orwell 54 to 55. The government uses a technique known as the chilling effect to remind the citizens of Oceania that they are under constant surveillance. The chilling effect consists of people refraining from saying and doing what they want because of the fear of getting caught. In the current world, there is a problem of constant surveillance and censorship. Similar to Oceania, China also struggles with issues related to widespread surveillance. China has always used technology to keep its people under control, and the surveillance state there is only getting more advanced. Facial recognition technology, internet censorship, and social media regulations are just a few of the tools the Chinese government has been employing to keep tabs on its populace. People are recognized using facial recognition technology in public spaces like airports and train stations. The technology is also used to monitor people's activities and movements. In order to restrict access to particular websites and content, internet censorship is used. Artificial intelligence has also been used by the Chinese government to control information and track online activities. Sharing of information is monitored and controlled through social media control. Algorithms have been used by the Chinese government to identify and remove posts that are seen to be politically sensitive. This system is also being used to block access to websites that are deemed to be a threat to national security. The social credit system implemented by the Chinese government assigns people rating depending on their actions. Using this method, residents are either rewarded or penalized based on their actions. For instance, the Chinese government has employed a variety of censorship measures. The Great Firewall, which the Chinese government has put in place to restrict access to particular websites and internet services. Information is censored and access to particular content and restricted using this approach. Additionally, the Chinese government has put in place a gold shield censorship and surveillance system that keeps an eye on online activities. The technique is employed to restrict material as well as track and monitor people's internet activities. China also decided to implement their power by censoring the world's biggest sporting event, the World Cup. The Chinese Football Association, or also known as CFA, has instructed broadcasters to avoid showing the images of fans without masks in stadiums, and to focus instead on their players and coaches. The CFA also asked the broadcasters to avoid showing images of fans celebrating goals, as well as any footage of fans gathering in large groups. The move is part of a wider effort by the Chinese government to prevent the spread of COVID-19, which has seen the government impose strict restrictions on the public gatherings. The Chinese government has also imposed a ban on international travel and has urged citizens to wear a mask in public. The World Cup is being held in Qatar, and the Chinese government has warned its citizens against traveling to the country. The Chinese government has also warned its citizens against attending any matches in person and has urged them to watch the games on television instead. This issue about censorship and surveillance will keep progressing, and there is not much that can be done to avoid it. In the future, it could get to the point where people will not be able to have their own thoughts and opinions. The government will use tactics of censorship to brainwash their citizens. They will do this by putting information that they want you to believe in front of you on social media, pushing it at you until your opinion is changed. In order to change the direction that this is heading in, I believe that we need to keep things private. Privacy is one of the most important things a person can have, and if that is taken, then you lose your sense of self. And sense of self is one of the most important things about being human.